one of the interesting things that in the rollout of this lockdown is that certain industries have been made essential and non-essential. And in the state of Oregon, not in all states, but in the state of Oregon, real estate was deemed as an essential industry. And so, AD, if I could pose the question to you to get it started, possibly, why do you think that that real estate was deemed as an essential industry for us?
Oh, I think it's a good question. I think they probably lumped us in with the banks and lumped us in with title and escrow to make sure that the transactions that we have can finish and can complete. I think there's always the risk or the nervousness of if you shut down things that are really, really difficult to then reopen could be a challenge. So I think that we're probably fortunate, as you said, that some states are not feeling the same way. At some level, they probably put some trust into us that we can make some of the changes that we need to make sure that our clients are safe and that we're safe. Even with that said, you still see our office the doors are closed. A lot of the escrow officers, I think, are working remotely. So it also probably doesn't hurt that in 2020, like the technology that's changed in the last 10 or 12 years can make things like Zoom calls and make things like mobile notaries and those types of things more easy to get to the finish line. So I think that we're fortunate that we're able to continue. My fear on some of these things that have shut down is that it's pretty easy to shut them down, but maybe some of the government's a little bit nervous about starting them up again.
Yeah. And it's going to have to be a delicate process. Bess, did you have a comment to add to that question about the real estate industry being deemed essential?
I do. It's a great question. And I think, just looking at housing in general, we're 14+% of the gross domestic product. And housing drives our economy. And we see that for all of us with our boots on the ground. We know that when we are helping people sell their home, they are hiring a landscaper, maybe a painter, maybe redoing a roof. And the same when someone buys a home, NAR states that when every home sells, it can create 2 jobs out there in the field. And we see that from a buyer, putting in a new HVAC system or ductless or new floors, or right down to the minuscule buying 1 can of paint at Sherwin-Williams or Home Depot. But the housing industry really does drive so much more of our economy. And so I'm thinking the powers that be definitely looked at that aspect and said, yeah, this is an essential business. Not only that, but housing is shelter. And that is the root of what we've got going on right now, sheltering in place, sheltering at home. And so that's kind of my thoughts on why, thank goodness, people understood that this is an essential business that we have.
Angela, what about your thoughts being from the mortgage industry?
Yeah, well, it's the economy before COVID was even starting. Things were a little bit starting to slow down. There were, talks of a recession, but housing has remained steady and very strong. So I think that, economists predict that when we do come out of this, that housing is likely one of the first things that hopefully will start out of the gates also. We'll see how that happens. But I think that's a great thing. And hopefully that's why, we're all essential here.
The reality is like housing is just, it's a need. Like everyone needs housing. And the fact that lots of transactions are already in the midst of happening, they have to be completed. And then people could potentially be homeless if they weren't finished. Especially in a lockdown, a stay at home sort of thing, like where are they going to go? It's not a safe environment to all of a sudden leave people unable to live somewhere.